Hi, my name is Nick Hastings, and this is my COVID-19 YouTube project for my Anatomy and Physiology 2 class at Anoka Ramsey Community College. So I will begin by describing how viruses work in general. The main goal of a virus is to infect as many hosts as possible to prolong its own lifespan. The way it does this is by infecting cells within the host's body. When it becomes ingrained within the cytoplasm of the cell, it will take over vital structures. Specifically, the ribosomes will be used to create proteins that will then be used to create more virus particles to spread throughout the host body. And ideally, for the virus, would then spread outside of the body into the external environment. Now, to focus on COVID 19, this is a virus that binds to a specific protein within the body, that being the ACE2 surface protein, which is just a protein that can be found on the surface of a variety of cells found inside the organism. These cells are primarily distributed in the lungs, kidneys, blood vessels, and GI tract, which is noteworthy for the spread of the virus, as all of these areas have an easy way of spreading either within the host's own body or outside to an external environment. With the lungs, virus particles can easily be coughed or sneezed out. With kidneys producing urine, that waste product is dispelled outside of the body, similar to how defecation works within the GI tract. And finally, looking at blood vessels, this provides a way for the virus to easily transfer particles within the host's bloodstream. As I'm sure a lot of us have seen and heard, it's very evident that the virus impacts people in different ways. The severity of symptoms ranges wildly from person to person, some people being completely asymptomatic and others unfortunately passing away due to the virus. So I just want to discuss three really important factors on how someone may react to getting infected. The first of which being the amount of virus particles present at initial infection. This is important because the more of the virus there is at the start, the easier it is for it to spread throughout the body and infect the host cells, thus creating more of the virus. Secondly, the health and effectiveness of the host's immune system is very important, as our immune system is our way of combating disease. So if someone's immune system isn't working properly, it's going to take a lot longer to develop antibodies to fight off the virus and actually get it out of the body. And finally, seeing as how ACE2 surface protein is the actual protein binding to COVID 19, the number of those proteins within the body is an important factor. If there are more of those proteins inside someone's body, the more places there are for the virus to bind and infect. Some more very important influences on severity of symptoms are going to be age, physical fitness, and general baseline health. As we've seen, older and less fit people generally have more severe symptoms and are more likely to have severe health consequences due to infection, whereas younger people are a lot more likely to be asymptomatic or have more mild symptoms. Now, research isn't fully done on this yet, but it's been put forward that there's actually a reasoning related to that ACE2 surface protein that could explain these differences. There is an enzyme that is responsible for cleaving the ACE2 surface protein to create a hormone that's much more common in younger and more fit people. And when this ACE2 surface protein is cleaved, it does not provide a binding site for COVID 19. Therefore, it eliminates some areas that COVID 19 could bind and then infect a host in a more young and fit person. On the other hand, older or more unfit and unhealthy people have less of this enzyme at work, leaving much more of the ACE2 proteins fully intact, thus leaving them completely available for binding to COVID 19. Now, moving on to vaccines, what a vaccine does in general is it exposes our body to a weakened form of a virus or bacteria, ideally in a way that wouldn't make us sick. This gives our immune system a chance to develop antibodies that are able to deal with this disease so that if we were ever to get the real thing, our body would be ready and prepared to dispose of it. Normally, it can take several days for our immune system to develop those antibodies and begin fighting off a disease. So, this provides us a way to develop those antibodies when we're not dealing with severe symptoms brought on by an actual disease. So, traditionally, vaccines can take several years to develop, and it involves creating a sample of a virus or a bacteria and removing its ability to make us really sick but it keeps its ability to trigger an immune response within the body. This response is very important as that's what actually trains our immune system to deal with the real disease. This, however, is not the type of vaccine that we're seeing for COVID 19 right now, as we needed a much faster development time, and that vaccine is what I will be discussing next. So, what we're seeing with the COVID 19 vaccine is actually called an mRNA vaccine or a messenger RNA vaccine. And what this does is it provides instructions to our cells to begin creating a specific aspect or structure of a virus or bacteria. Our immune system would then see that new object being created within the body and recognize it as foreign, thus creating antibodies to get rid of it. So, this is pretty similar to a traditional vaccine in that it's creating an environment that elicits an immune response, thus creating these antibodies ahead of time. So, if we ever get the actual disease, our immune system is ready to eliminate it in a timely manner. If you were to look at a microscopic view of a COVID 19 particle, you'd see that it has a lot of spike like objects coming out of it. And this is actually what scientists isolated to create in the mRNA vaccine. So the instructions being provided to our cells told them to create those spikes in the body so that our immune system would recognize those spikes as being a foreign intruder of sorts. So if we were to actually get COVID, our immune system had antibodies already developed to dispose of anything resembling those spikes that are found on the actual COVID 19 virus. And then, just to wrap things up, I was going to talk briefly about how this virus has impacted me personally. I'm very thankful in that I haven't been infected with it, nor has anyone in my immediate household. I've also been in work this whole time, and I appreciate that a lot. I work at a bank, so we've gone to drive through only a couple times, and we've implemented a lot of safety equipment in order to still help customers. But I have been in work this whole time, so I'm very glad about that. My wife was out of work for a little bit. She's a preschool teacher, and our center had to close for a while near the start of quarantine, but we got through that. Right now, I'm just thankful that everyone I know is still doing okay and is healthy. And I'm looking forward to seeing life slowly and safely return a bit more to the normal stuff we see. And I hope we all stay healthy. And I really appreciate the time you took to watch this video.